What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, or Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development, and today I am very hyped to share with you a deck I am highly considering to taking to my nationals, my own version of TAP, the Brigade Adventure Punk deck. And of course, before we hop into it, shout out to our newest public subs of the channel, Santanow and Daniel. Thank you both so much for joining, and thank you to everyone who has also subscribed privately. If you want to be included in the next sub shout out, just make sure your subscriptions are public when you subscribe so that I know who you are and can give you that shout out. And if you are so inclined, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know as soon as I upload. It really helps the channel. And with all that said, let's not waste any time and hop straight into the deck profile. Alright, we'll go ahead and hop right into the main deck. I think the easiest way to do this will be by engine. My favorite part of this deck is that each engine has utility to create either a negate or a disruption going first, as well as has the ability to break boards going second. So starting with the Tri-Brigades, we play Triple Fractal. It says send this card from hand or field to dump a Tri-Brigade name from deck to grave. And then we have Triple Kit, which also, when it's sent to grave, then dumps another Tri-Brigade name from deck to grave. And then Triple Nerval, when it's sent to grave, it adds a Tri-Brigade name from deck to hand. And then the last of the two Tri-Brigade monsters that we play are Double Karos. Since you want to function in this deck without having to use normal summon based effects, the main name for the Tri-Lines is to get to Karos when you see the Brave package. You really have plenty of ways to see Karos and make sure that is live, so it's not a big deal. But this package is the most consistent and synergizes well with cards like the discard for Punk, the adventure stuff, and for Droplet. So you want to max out a little bit higher on names here. Definitely a really solid engine. And then wrapping it up, we play Double Tenki just to get to Fractal, to get to everything else, and the one Revolt. Because you play other engines and how things align, you don't necessarily need more than one Revolt. You can play more. I think 2 does feel good, especially if you hard open it. It is not a bad thing in this deck. But that is it for the Tri package. Moving on to the Brave package, it will be fairly standard. We play Triple Water Enchantress. This, along with our next card, Triple Right, is what lets us get our Omni Negate. These are our 1-card starters to get Griffin on the field. You do not need to play Illegal Knight in this because you want Griffin as the Wind Wing Beast. There's a few different pieces of synergy there, just as well as the Omni Negate, while it's around, is more powerful, so we might as well use it. And the honorary name of Foolish Burial. And then, of course, we also play the remaining 3 pieces of the standard Brave package in the terms of 1 Fateful, 1 Draco back, and 1 Griffin. You can bump Griffin up should you choose, but it is definitely not needed in this build. It's perfectly fine at 1. It insulates your plays, and there are a few different ways to utilize it that we'll get into in a little bit. And then the last main engine of the deck is the Punk engine. So we play Triple Emergency Teleport. This is what, again, helps us facilitate our plays without having to use our normal summon and trigger things like Fateful Adventure before committing. We play Triple Foxy Tune. Really excited that I finally picked up my collector's rares here. This also lets you get Z Ammon on the field. And then for the last of the Punk engine, we play 2 Z Ammon. So the Punk engine has 3 main functions in the deck. The first function is that it is a 1-card Hulk combo, ideally, or just an additional extender that lets you play into Hulk to get the Scythe lock live. The second piece is Z Ammon, being a level 3 Earth Tuner, synergizes well with your level 2 non-tuner Karos to make a Naturia Beast. And then the third function is synchroing a Z Ammon away with Griffin to make Baron. In the instances that your hands aren't great, you can still get Griffin into the grave as a 4th target to banish with your Tri-Brigade names should you need it, as well as keeping your Omni Negate live if you want to do Shurig lines. So this Punk engine has a few different pieces in the deck that all really just push it that one bit forward. From there, the last 2 quote-unquote engine pieces and or soft garnets, if you want to consider them that, but I really don't. I actually enjoy opening these in this deck. I would rather not see them, but it does not feel bad in how this deck is built, is the 1 Jet Synchron and the 1 Artifact Scythe. Obviously, Jet Synchron by itself still gets you to Hulk, and discarding a card like Water Enchantress or Nerval or Kit does not feel bad by any means. It lets you extend further, and hard opening Scythe just makes your life a little bit easier if you go through the Hulk line and they hand trap it. Hard setting Scythe and going into TG Wonder Magician just is still amazing. It makes your opponent essentially -1. So these are the two last pieces that relate to the 3 engines we showed before. And then the last piece of the deck is just some defensive cards and some hand traps. So starting off, we play 2 Droplet. You want at least 2 of these. I wanted to diversify my hand trap lineup a little bit, and because of space, I didn't have a ton of room. But again, Droplet is pretty needed in this deck. You want at least some form of out that guarantees your opponent can't play through or can't respond to some of the stuff that they're building their board with, and Droplet allows you to do that. And again, synergizing with the discards through the Brave package, Jet Synchron, Tri-Brigade names, it's just absolutely amazing and feels incredibly free. 2 Ash, again, just the hand trap that has the most coverage this format. Not necessarily a great one-for-one trade, but if you know the major choke points of each deck, this really does feel really good. Just don't waste it on something preliminary and then kind of get punished by it. But if you time it well, Ash still feels really solid this format. Another tuner, obviously, to get off Hulk should you really need it, or at worst, a normal summon to make Hulk. And then moving on to the next 2 is 2 DD Crow. You could cut this to 1, but I enjoy having 2 in here, 1 as searchable and 1 as a discard for Karask, given it is a winged beast. Just having the extra name is pretty helpful. And then the last 1 card here is Ghost Ogre. You can cut this, but I enjoy it. It makes E-Telly just a little bit better. If your hand is awkward and your Hulk line isn't perfect, it makes Hulk just a little bit better. And overall, it's just a solid 1-of to have in the deck, and obviously will become a little more relevant when the new Punk Synchro comes out in Power of the Elements, since it will become even more searchable. But that is it for the main deck. It is 41 cards. This is the first deck I've gone above 40 with, but when I figured out the Scythe lock for this, I just threw in the Scythe and made life a lot easier. So we will go ahead and transition into the extra deck. I think the easiest way to do it is we will start with the highest link monsters and work our way down, and then transition into the synchros from there. Starting off, we have 2 Shureg. Shureg is really all you need for this deck. In terms of the numbers, you only need 2. 1 is typically for either your Revolt, your main combo, and the other is just an additional. You shouldn't really be going into a grind game where you need 3 of this. You should hopefully have closed it out by then, so 2 is fine. And the other 2 link 4s of the deck are the 1 Access Code and the 1 Appaloosa. Access Code obviously is our main tool to close out games. Appaloosa is in here. If you don't like this, you can cut it for Unicorn. I've found that instead of playing Unicorn, I prefer the Appaloosa for hands where if you are just in a really unfortunate situation where you have only Tri-Brigade names, making something like an Appaloosa to supplement that board is helpful. And I would rather have that in the case of if I do have a bad hand going first than just a random Unicorn sitting in there. I'm okay with accepting a Link 2 based Access Code as opposed to a Link 3, since Access Code by itself should still be able to clean up exactly what you need. I'd rather have the diversity of the building board going second. So that is our link 4s there. For our 1 link 3, we just have 1 Rugel. This is needed just because there are times where you have an awkward hand, or you just want to do the Bear Brum line and still keep climbing, but maybe you don't have enough materials for an Access Code. Rugel is what you do to then trigger that, and has nice recursion moving on into turns 2 and beyond. So Rugel, definitely a solid card, but you can still try to cut something for a Unicorn. If you want to test cutting Appaloosa, you can, but I have found it's not needed. For the link 2s for the Tri-Brigade piece, you have your standard 3, the 1 Farragut, the 1 Bear Brum, and the 1 DDL, Double Dragon Lord. These 2 are mainly part of your combo. Farragut as an extender, Bear Brum as your piece to get Revolt, and DDL as a piece to help insulate your Naturia Beast through that line of play. Just remember that if you get rid of Bear Brum and use its effect to search Revolts, you are locked into Tri-Brigade specifically. So anything you want to do has to be done before getting rid of the Bear Brum. And then the last 2 links, obviously for the Scythe lock, are the 1 Hulk and the 1 Dagda. Feels really good in this deck, just to have everything on top of it. Works really well also because Naturia Beast is a level 5, so in the event that Scythe doesn't get popped and you still have a card like Naturia Beast on the field, you can still chain the TG Wonder Magician to dodge something like Imperm, sync away with Naturia Beast into Baron, and resolve and still pop your Scythe. So really cool lines that you can do with this deck in that way. And then the last of our link ones, the 1 link Karibo to ensure Jet Synchron is the 1 card Halkline, and then the 1 Mirage in instances where you hard draw kit and you just have to use that normal summon for something like that. Mirage does come up enough that we still need to play it in the deck. And then on to our synchros. It's pretty straightforward, but we play 1 Baron. This is our main line that goes from Scythe as our main Omni Negate, the TG Wonder Magician to then facilitate that play, and the the bad boy himself are out to the new Mystic Mind meta after the YCS is Naturia Beast. This deck can make it relatively easily. Seeing a piece of the Punk engine and a piece of the Tri-Brigade engine is not hard by any means. This card can just close out a ton of games by itself. So, and again, these two sync as well to make the Baron. So that is it for the extra deck. Pretty straightforward. And then we will go ahead and showcase the side deck. And I'll just showcase this in the going first piece versus the going second piece. So first we have triple dimensional barrier. You can put something else in here. I still think D-Barrier is pretty solid pick of the format, given some of the meta decks like Sword Soul and a few others that rely on the synchro mechanic. Punk combo as well is going to be up there pretty big now. So just being able to lock your opponent out is important. Again, it's not meant to win the game. It's meant to stop your opponent for a turn so you can clean up next turn. And in the same line as that, we play triple summon limit. Once you've established your board, you're really only summoning twice usually on your turn, through a Tri-Brigade into Sure Egg or just a big link up into Access Code to close it out. 2 other options you have for going first, or more so 3 that I've been experimenting with, is you can add a Heartbeat Conductor to your extra deck or your side deck, depending on how you want to put it in, and play a card like Harpy's Featherstorm to lock your opponent out going first. Since you can play Sure Egg, which is a big dark boy, you can side in Eradicator Epidemic Virus or Deck Devastation Virus if you want to go that route as well. All those cards are right here on screen. But I just kind of, for testing purposes and thinking through Nationals, I want cards that if I draw them are immediately usable, especially if I go first and win the die roll, and aren't risk dependent on me completing my combo for them to be live. But depending on where you're at, if you want a little bit more of a blowout card, those are some that you can test. So for the going second piece, we have, of course, the God card itself, 3 Dark Ruler No More. You really need something like this to help shut off Despia so you can do your full combo and not get burned to death and not risk losing in time, to really get that board taken care of quickly, let them go, get back to your turn and clean things up. In line with that God combo, Dark Ruler No More pairing with our 3 Lightning Storm. Obviously, some form of back row removal is needed. You might prefer Cosmic, you might prefer Twin Twisters. I still prefer Lightning Storm in the event that we see just the set 5 pass deck. I really do think it is solid, and being able to activate more than 1 a turn is always nice if they negate the activation. And then by far my favorite card of the side deck is triple Lava Golem. This card is absolutely nuts. The fact that when you summon it, it can then trigger Fateful to add you Draco back from deck to hand is nuts, and then bouncing it back to your hand. This format is very Calamity and Scythe Lock dependent, so you as turn player have priority in main phase 1 to make the first action. Tributing off that Hulk and something else for a Lava Golem is insane, and the fact that you don't need your normal summon in this deck means you can still do your full combo, clean things up, and not even have to worry about it. So Lava Golem is absolutely nuts. Obviously does a little bit of work in time as well, but an absolute insane deck. So yeah, that is the main deck, the extra deck, and the side deck. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please, again, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you are notified as soon as I upload. But with all that said, thank you again so much for watching. I will catch you all in the next one. Later.